Alright, so this is going to be a quick video showing how to replace the battery on this 15-inch MacBook Pro. This is model A1398 mid 2014. Alright, so I already pre-removed a bunch of the adhesive, so I'm just going to explain how this works. If you want to see how to, how the tape is actually holding it in and stuff, to get a better idea, I made a whole bunch of these videos. You can watch it, just search A1398 battery and it's been repaired or something and you'll find it. But anyways, for this is what you're going to need. And also I found, oops, let me mute that. I found a way to make it even faster, so and easier. So what I did, I got one of these little squeeze bottles. This actually used to be to refill printer ink, and then it has this little fine point tip to dispense. I use it to dispense isopropyl rubbing alcohol, 91% specifically, but doesn't really need to be 91%. You can use 70% as well. All right, anyways, we're going to use this rubbing alcohol bottle. Okay, so we're going to have that as a thumbnail there. All right, we're going to use a P5 or Pentalobe 1.2 screwdriver, T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. I'm going to use this very thin tool that's, they used it for at a pharmacy for counting pills and stuff. I found this actually on eBay, but I found other ones that are similar for frosting and icing. The only thing is they're not as thin. So if you buy one of those, I did buy one before, and then what I did was I sanded down or to make the tip much thinner, so that way I can kind of get under things. But this isn't sharp, it's not a knife, but it is very thin. It's probably about the thickness of maybe a sheet of paper, possibly even thinner. All right, then we got this plastic scraping tool, which helps me peel off the adhesive, and then obviously we need a replacement battery. Okay, so let's move all this stuff out of the way. We are going to be using the P5 or Pentalobe 1.2 screwdriver first. Okay, and we're going to remove all the screws from the bottom. You want to keep the screws in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that, I put them flat side down like that on my desk in the pattern I remove them. So we have this rectangle. All right, we're going to go ahead and remove all of these. These two should be smaller than all the rest, but it's always a good idea to keep all the screws in order either way. Okay, if somebody opened your computer before, then keep that in mind. And if you're wondering what this is, I just donated blood very recently. So yeah, so even doing this with a unit of blood less, I don't know what a unit of blood is. I think it's like a pint or 2 pints or something like that. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and continue doing this. All right. All right. And again, I did pre-scrape out the adhesive, and then I figured because now I found faster, easier ways to do this, I should have made a video. And so I put it back together. I almost lost that screw. All right, so I put it back together, and then I'm like, okay, let me show how to take it apart again. All right, so this is the easy part, is getting all these screws, obviously, and yeah. All right, so once you remove all the screws, we're just gonna go from the back here and pull up this cover. All right, so here you can see there are clips that hold it in place. On some models, they actually use magnets instead of clips, but this one they use these clips. All right. And I actually already cleaned it out. It was a lot dustier, so I did that as well. Usually whenever I open up the computers, I try and clean them out. You can see there's some stuff here, but it doesn't wipe off because it's just bad. All right, anyways, we're going to peel this adhesive up, okay? Oh, one thing I didn't mention, of course, you want to make sure to shut down your MacBook. I know it's not a thing that Mac users do, but you want to shut it down. Shut it down completely. Click the Apple and click shut down. Don't just close your screen. Don't put it to sleep. Don't restart it. Shut it down, all right? Next, we're going to peel this up. Okay, so you peel that off. Yours might be stuck harder. I did peel it off earlier, so yeah. All right, then next thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see how that's done. I've had some people where they don't know how to pry it and they rip off the whole connector somehow, the part of the motherboard. We're just going to pull from this spot. Here you can see it separates. So you just pull up like that, and usually I'll use 2 fingers, one on either side, to kind of pull up from both sides, but there you go. And if it's tough to go, you can kind of just wiggle back and forth to the left and right sides until it pops out. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom back out here. Okay, after you disconnect the battery, to make it extra safe to work on, obviously you want to ground yourself. That's kind of a thing you do with all computer stuff if you can. All right, but the other thing is, after disconnecting the battery, you want to open up the computer and then press and hold the power button for at least 15 seconds. All right, this makes it a lot safer to work on the computers. All right, and yeah, a lot less risk of damaging things. Okay, so we're just going to hold it for another few seconds. Okay, that's basically been about 15 seconds. And I already also lifted up the battery earlier, so, but let me show you how this works, okay? So we're gonna now switch over to a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. You should have already disconnected this, and we're just gonna remove the 2 screws right here, okay? So let's go ahead and remove these 2 screws. Probably gonna have to check my phone because I have people messaging me to work on other stuff, so... Oh yeah, give me a second. I need to respond to this message real quick. I'm gonna pause and I'll be back. Whoops. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. All right, so once you've removed those 2 screws and held the power button to drain the power, of course, you have to make sure that's disconnected. Make sure your laptop's not plugged in. All right, so the easy way, before I used to take these 2 screws out, lift it up, and then go underneath this way. But actually, you can actually get underneath this way. My tool... not on purpose, but it has a little bend in it. I don't know if you can see. You want, if yours is like that, you want the bend to face downwards. And basically what I do is I get it under here and then I can push it through. So there's a strong adhesive under here, so pretend there's like a strong adhesive. Basically you would push it through and it would cut that adhesive. After you do that, you pull it back, work your way over here, cut the adhesive through that way. You can actually see the tool over here, but you kind of don't want to push it all the way through if you can help it, because you don't want to go underneath the speaker and accidentally damage it. All right, and then we're gonna go over and just do that. So we'll do that, then we'll go over to this side, do the same thing, this side and this side. If you need a link to buy this tool, let me know. Some people use like floss or something to do this, but I found this works a lot better. It's a lot easier. On this side, when you get to the end, because the handle hits here, it doesn't quite reach. So I actually have to lift this a little higher, like pull it up and then go underneath so it gets that last bit all the way to the edge. And I can just barely see the metal tool at the tip of there. So same thing, you pull it back out, continue working, and just do that, okay? And then lift it up. You don't want to go from here and then try and slide it this way, because what will happen is the adhesive is pulling on the layer of this battery, and when it's bowing like this, if you push the thing under here, you can see it goes underneath. But if you push under here and then you like try and slide it, you'll end up slicing the part that's sticking out from the adhesive pulling. All right, anyways, once you've done this side, you'll go ahead and turn the tool this way. And it's a little bit tricky to show this, but let me see if I can. Basically, you would pull this up, and as you can see, it's raised. Oops, it's raised here because the trackpad, there's that silver layer. So you have to lift it slightly higher to go past that to get between the battery, okay? So once you do that, okay, you're gonna have to actually hold this piece of the battery pack up, and you wanna be careful not to go too close to this side. So if you want, you can actually start further over this way, further towards the front of the laptop, and then you just push it through that way. You can actually see the tool is visible there, okay? So if I pull this back out, you can see, all right? And then you work your way down, go like that, go like that, just keep working it. Again, it's a strong foam adhesive, so it's not like, it wouldn't be easy to push through like this. You'd have to kind of like shove it through, okay? And make sure when you're pushing that the tool is like facing downwards like this, like how it's scraping on the table, because if you go up like this, then you can end up cutting into the battery pack, and you don't want to do that. All right, in all the like hundreds of batteries or maybe even thousands of batteries I've replaced, I've never had an issue. But I've had some people that I've had some people tell me they tried to replace their battery and they brought it to me where like it melted their speakers and stuff. So just want to give you guys those tips so you don't end up making mistakes like them. Okay, I haven't had that issue, but again, I've done this so many times, I know what I'm doing, and yeah. All right, then you're gonna repeat the same thing on this side. Okay, you can go underneath here and same thing, push the tool like that, push the tool like that, push the tool like that, and just same thing going all the way down this way, okay? And then again, you lift this battery pack up, you go underneath. Because I already know, like, I have to raise it slightly up, so I would kind of go in between, slightly higher than the base, and then you would cut this adhesive, okay? And once you get to like this point, again, you want to be very careful. If you're gonna cut through this way, what I do is I usually tilt it over slightly this way so it cuts in towards the front of the laptop. You don't want to try and tilt it this way, and let me show you why. So we cut all this adhesive here. There's also 2 adhesive dots under this piece, and the way you get to that is once you finish cutting all the other adhesive, you turn the tool this way towards the front, and then you go like that, and you can like slide it underneath and do that. And you can do that on both sides this way as well. Okay, so now that we've cut all the adhesive, we're going to lift the battery out. So you can pull it up from here. You can see these 2 battery packs kind of stick there, and then you want to help support it by pulling the battery packs. Then you lift these up, okay, like this. And then if you've made sure to cut the adhesive down here, you should be able to slide it forward just like that. And this is what the adhesive looks like underneath. You can see this is the foam. It separates these 2 layers, and that's how it releases the adhesive. Some people would say like put rubbing alcohol and all of that, and that's actually doesn't work too well. I've tried it so many times, it doesn't really help. But let me show you what happens. So after you're done removing the battery, okay, again, as you can see, like it got these wrinkles because it pulls a little bit away from the battery cell, and that's why you don't want to just slide it this way, because when it pulls up, it makes like a part sticking out, and then you don't want to end up trying to cut into this film. So when you push it, it goes this way through the adhesive. Okay. All right. So as you can see, I already removed most of the adhesive residue, or the leftover, like this tape. So there's a whole bunch. There's like these here, 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 like all like this, all these. For some reason, it's a lot harder to get off this material. But anyways, then I left 2 of them here just so I can show you how I remove this. Okay, so we're gonna zoom in here. You can see that. And what we're gonna do, I use this tool. You can also, usually I just use my fingernails, but this tool kind of works a little bit better, okay, because it's more stiff. So you peel up a little bit like that. If you can't peel it up that way, then you might have to kind of keep scraping more. But once you do that, you should be able to grab the part that's peeling up, okay. Oh, I might have to do a little bit more because it rolled on itself. All right, so there we go. So you pinch that and grab it. It does also help to have fingernails to grab it, or you can try and use tweezers or whatever. All right, but here you can see now we got that. You want to pull slow. A lot of times the adhesive layer, like some of it stays stuck down to the surface, and that's okay. That's what we're going to use the rubbing alcohol for, okay? So again, you want to peel this slowly, and then if it's torn like this, you don't want to peel down this way. You want to actually peel it this way, so along the part that didn't tear. So you peel this way, and most of the time that will help you get more of the adhesive out before it like tears or anything. Okay, then we got this one here. We're gonna go ahead and same thing, scrape up a portion of it. Okay, usually I try and get all of the one flat side up before I start peeling it. Then you can grab it and you can go ahead and slowly, carefully peel this. Okay, and the better you peel that out, the less adhesive residue is left over. You can see some of it didn't stick, and then some of it, only where we were kind of scraping it, is stuck there. Okay, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna use the rubbing alcohol. And what this does is it dissolves the adhesive that's left there. Before I used to put the alcohol on a paper towel, but then that kind of wastes a lot of paper, a lot of the alcohol, because instead of dissolving the adhesive, it's just absorbing into the paper towel. So this way works a lot better. You can pinpoint where the residue is, and you just put the alcohol right on the residue. Okay, so just like this. So we're just getting it right on the adhesive residue. Okay, there's no point getting it on the places that don't have adhesive on it. If you want and you want to waste alcohol, you can go ahead and do that, but it's not necessary. Okay, so just put it right where you see any adhesive residue. Okay, so just like this. And then while it's sitting, it slowly will dissolve. So when you first put it, the adhesive is kind of tough and sticky and really hard to get out. Okay, like if I show you right now, you see the residue here. If I try and scrape that, you see it's not going anywhere. Okay, so over time, after this alcohol dissolves into it, then it will come out really easily. So we're just gonna basically soak up all that. And if you want, you can scrape it up with this, or you can use like paper towel. We're gonna scrape it up with this first, and then we'll use paper towel to clean up the gunk that's stuck there. Okay, so we'll let it sit for a while. Okay, hopefully I have enough recording time left on my phone because it is running out of storage. Okay, so there we go. Now let's go ahead and try and scrape this stuff, and you can see it scrapes super easy. There's nothing really stopping the plastic razor blade from moving, and you can see the gunk right there. Okay, so we're just gonna go this way, and you can see it's like turning all goopy. All right, there you go. And again, this uses a lot less rubbing alcohol than the way I did before, where I soaked it in a paper towel. And then it's a lot easier to get all this gunk out. All right, and you want to try and avoid getting it underneath the speaker, though. Rubbing alcohol isn't really that much of an issue if it gets in the computer. There is some water in it, and then also if it dissolves the adhesive and goes under, then it's going to be kind of gross. All right, so now we're going to just wipe up this stuff just like this. Okay, fold it up. All right, and we're going to do this with a to clean off the residual, like very thin layer of residue. We're gonna put rubbing alcohol on the paper towel and then wipe it up. Okay, so there you go. There's still a little bit, I don't know if that's residue or scrape, but you can try and see if that will clean off as well. Okay, I think that was some residue. Okay, so we got all of that. You can see it's a lot better. Okay, there's still a little bit residue. Again, we're gonna clean that up later. All right, then we got this on the trackpad area. You do want to be careful. You don't want to get it in this little hole, because that's where the trackpad has the little clicking button. So you want to try and avoid getting rubbing alcohol in there. Okay. Technically, this part isn't absolutely necessary, but if you skip this, your replacement battery is not going to stick down very well, and then it might rattle around if you shake your computer or if you're like carrying it around. So yeah. But technically, this part isn't absolutely necessary. You can actually use your computer without the battery being stuck down with adhesive. And then also in the future, it'll be a lot easier to remove your battery. But it really depends. Usually customers don't like their batteries rattling around inside, so that's why we go this route. Okay, and try and make sure everything is nice and clean. Also, you can see the adhesive. Actually, maybe you can't, but with my eyes, the adhesive turns more milky once it absorbs the alcohol and becomes goopy. So I can actually see where the alcohol dissolved the adhesive. Okay, so I'm gonna actually do all of it at the same time, and we're just putting a little bit in there, just enough to dissolve it. And again, if some stuff doesn't dissolve, you can always add more, and then it should come out very easily. So this side is clear, and then this side I can actually see it's turning milky. But again, I don't know in the camera, it doesn't seem to pick it up. All right, I'm gonna continue getting the rubbing alcohol on here. And yeah, it doesn't take much rubbing alcohol for this. If you have a bottle like this, you can also use like a syringe or something. Whatever you have works. All right. Or if you have like a little dropper, that works too. Like a little water dropper, eyedropper thing. You can fill up a bottle like a eyedropper with that. So whatever works for you, whatever you got. All right. You can use anything you got around the house. If you bought those juicy drop pop candy things, you can probably even fill that with rubbing alcohol. Just make sure to wash it out well so it doesn't have sticky stuff in it. But there we go. Okay, so we got that all covered with the rubbing alcohol. We're just going to scrape this stuff up again. Okay, and you can see how easily that goopy stuff scrapes up. Okay, look at that, it's so easy. Okay, before I used to like use a paper towel and like scrub this up. It was so much more work. All right, this works so much better than before. Look at all that goop coming out. Okay, and then if any is remaining and you can't wipe it up with the paper towel, of course you could always apply more rubbing alcohol, no big deal. Oh, and I forgot to mention the reason why you didn't want to get too close to this with the tool. You can see this trackpad cables here. So if you get too close, you can actually end up cutting that cable. All right. And then you're not going to have fun. You're going to have to wait to put the battery back in. You're going to have to buy a new trackpad cable. And yeah, again, that's not going to be fun. Peeling up the trackpad thing is somewhat of a pain. You got to get this plastic or this metal plate off. And then underneath, I forgot what kind of screws they use. I think it's either T5 or T3. So it's not, if it's a T3, it's not even a as common size screwdriver to use. So keep that in mind. All right, I've got more adhesive residue here. And this stuff is kind of just all like adhesive residue everywhere. So we're gonna put more and then just use that to wipe it better. Okay. And be careful while wiping this. You don't want to snag it on this cable either. Okay, I don't know why Apple made it like that, where it makes it easy to damage, but that's how they designed it. Okay, don't forget the two little dots that were down here as well. You want to make sure to clean that adhesive residue off as well. Okay. Okay, and again, don't wipe over this little circle. You don't want to accidentally squeeze the goopy stuff into that hole. Alright, and there we go. I'll scrape up this one as well. Alright, there we go. Let's clean up this goop. Alright, and I fold it inside the paper towel so I don't spread that goopy stuff all over the place, if you're wondering. I fold it over to pick up the goop and then I just wipe it up. Okay, I don't know what this little thing is. There we go. Okay. Alright, so we got most of the major goop stuff out. Let's zoom out here. And then we're gonna finish cleaning this up. All right, so now that we got this, if you want, you can put like a bunch more to kind of get it easy to wipe up. All right, and you can see how little I used. So we used like one layer of this little thing. Okay, before I used way more, I think, to clean up this kind of stuff. So this new method works a lot better. Okay, so now we're just going to use that to clean up the old alcohol, or not the adhesive residue. Okay. It's really difficult to get like this glossy one 100% clean. But yeah, if you get it good enough, it'll stick just fine. You don't need to get it 100% clean. Okay, then we got this. Clean that off as well. Again, with the trackpad area, be careful not to squeeze the rubbing alcohol into that little trackpad hole. All right, and there we go. Nice and simple. Fold this over and we'll wipe this up again. Make sure to get it nice and clean. There's some old adhesive junk there. Okay, got that out. If you want, you can wipe also with a completely dry, clean one. All right, so here you can see now it's super clean. All right, you don't have any more of that adhesive residue. Look at that, nice and clean. Okay, so obviously next thing we gotta do is put the new battery in. The new battery comes with this thing to keep the sticky stuff clean. All right, most of the time the battery doesn't have that bottom area because it's not used for anything. All right, and then you just want to make sure that the battery fits properly. Okay, so if you don't do this first, you might end up dropping the battery in a way that you can't even connect the plug. So you want to be careful, because here you can see the plug is bent in a way that makes it so I can't reach it properly. So to fix that, usually what you do is you bend this side down and then you bend this side up. So you kind of fold it, okay? So that way, let me see if I can show. So it's folded like this, okay? All right, and then you kind of tilt that forward. So let's go ahead and do that. So just like that, and then we tilt this forward. So it might help actually to fold this one first. Okay, so fold that one forward like that, and then you can fold this one in half, okay? All right, just like this, and then you gotta line up the cables here, make sure everything looks like it can go, and you should be good. All right, and also you want to make sure these screw mount holes line up. Is a cat scratching one? Oh, okay. All right, so make sure these all line up. You can see this all lines up now, but we're gonna have to now peel off the adhesive. So make sure these line up, that's very important. And then make sure this also lines up, because otherwise you're gonna have some problems later, okay? All right, so there we go. We're gonna go ahead and peel the bottom layer off. You wanna leave the top layer on. The top layer is there to make sure that the battery packs stay aligned properly and they don't move around, okay? All right, so let's peel off this bottom layer, just like this. Okay, oh. So I see adhesive sticking to that and not the, okay. So I have to peel it this way because for some reason the adhesive on this side's not sticking down to the battery. Kind of weird. All right, anyways, next thing we're gonna do, line this up. Again, make sure the screw holes are lined up. That's very, very important. So I'm kind of looking through the top. My head might be getting in the way. And then once you make sure everything is lined up, you can go ahead and drop these down, okay? Again, make sure it's all lined up. And then drop this into place, and there we go. Okay, so now we gotta get the T5, Torx 5 screws in, okay? And we have these two screws here. So get that one in. I loosely fit it first so I can make sure I get everything lined up. Get the second one and get that screw in. All right, and then now that you got it all lined up, you can go ahead and tighten the screws down. All right. Perfect. All right, and then once you got everything lined up there, we're gonna peel this off. This one, you wanna roll it back, all right? Don't pull it straight up, otherwise it can separate layers of the battery. So you just peel it like this, and it should all come out nicely. Okay, just like this, and peel it back, all right? And there we go. So we got the battery all set. This one's nice, it even came with the rubber pieces, which is how the original battery came. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and plug the battery in. So to plug the battery in can be a little bit tricky. You actually want to get like the top corner edges in first. So what I do is I kind of angle, oops, sorry. So what I do is I kind of angle it like this, and let me make sure, it's hard to make sure you guys can see and make sure I can see. All right, and then after that you kind of walk the other one down. So let me see, because right now this cable is kind of not in right. I need to bend it more. Okay, so I'm pushing that cable in. All right, so basically get that top corner edge in and then the other corner edge and push it down. All right, and there we go. And make sure everything looks connected right. Okay, it looks like the back is kind of sticking up a little. So let me see if I can adjust it a little, these cables. Okay, get that off. Oops, sorry, I'm going out of view. Okay, then get it all lined up again and make sure to push it down. All right, make sure it gets pushed down all the way. Perfect. And then we stick this piece back on top. Okay, line it back up. I like to line up the bottom down here and then also line up the thing up there and make sure it's all covered. If you want, you can even like line it up with this specifically and then just fold it down. But I like to make sure the bottom is more lined up. Okay, there we go. And then we just got to put the bottom cover back on. Very nice and simple. Okay, So let's go ahead and get that piece. All right, and then also one more thing, we're going to do a PRAM and SMC reset. Okay, let's go ahead and put these screws back on using the P5 or Pentalobe 1.2 screwdriver, and then we'll do the PRAM and SMC reset. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, please make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. Leave a comment because YouTube apparently likes when people do that. And if it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Let's finish getting all these screws, and then I'll show you how to do the PRAM and SMC reset. Okay. A lot of people ask me, why do I do that? And a lot of times when you run the PRAM, or when you do the PRAM and SMC reset, Apple will kind of detect the new hardware. And if there's something wrong with the battery, then it's going to start complaining. If you don't do that, you might not find out until some update happens, and then you'll end up with some issues. So it's best to do the PRAM and SMC reset after any kind of hardware upgrades or changes. Okay, so we got 2 more screws. Last one. All right, and then we're going to plug it in and do those resets. Okay. So we'll flip this guy over. We have a big dent. I'm surprised their screen's not broken from that. But anyways, let's go ahead and open this up, and we'll get the plug here. What did I do with it? It's all too many plugs down here. Okay. All right, so we got the charger. I'm gonna plug this in. So to do an SMC reset, you're going to do Control Option Shift on the left side. This charge light should be orange. While you're holding that, press the power button. It will turn off the MacBook. To do the PRAM reset, while the computer's turning on, Command Option P and R, hold that down. You'll hear the chime. The screen should shut off, and then the chime should go again with the volume at the full volume. All right? You can keep holding that. There you go. You hear the chime. If you want, you can keep holding it, and it will do it again. Sometimes if your computer's muted, you won't hear the chime at all, but if your computer restarts once while holding that, then you should be good to go. And that's pretty much it. You can see the MacBook is turning on again, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, let's drop this. Bye.